Hi guys and gals, here we are, chapter 5.3, adding and subtracting fractions that don't have a like denominator. So we've got an additional step, and most of you remember from 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade that when you're trying to add fractions, you need a common denominator. So when we have two fractions that do not have a common denominator, we have to find one, and we are also looking for the lowest common denominator. So there's an easy way to figure out what the lowest common denominator between two or more denominators is if you don't automatically know it. It's find the LCM. You remember that from chapter 4, the least common multiple of your denominators. That gives you automatically the lowest common denominator. So we're going to do some problems. We're going to kind of run through them here and stop the video and replay it if you need to. So find the lowest common denominator and rewrite these fractions using the lowest common denominator. So 12 and 3 are not common denominators, and if you already know that the lowest common denominator is 12, that's great, but if you don't, we can review a little bit about the LCM. You do the prime factorizations, which the prime factorization of 12 is 2 squared, which is 4 times 3. And the prime factorization of 3 is 3. And we write each base to the highest exponent. So that becomes 12. So your lowest common denominator is 12. And I usually write the new fractions right underneath the old ones. This guy already has a common denominator of 12. We don't have to do anything to that 5. But this 3, we ask ourselves, what can we multiply this 3 by to end up with 12 as an answer? And of course the answer is 4. So if you multiply the 3 times 4 to make an equivalent fraction, we also have to multiply the 1 times 4. So 1 times 4 is 4. And 3 times 4 is 12. Now you have your two new fractions rewritten with the lowest common denominator. 6 and 9, let's start with the prime factorizations. 2 times 3 and 3 squared. LCM is each base you see to the highest exponent you see, which is 2 times 9, which is 18. 18 is going to be our lowest common denominator. 6 times 3 is 18, so I have to multiply the 5 times 3 to get the numerator. 9 times 2 is 18, so 7 times 2 is 14. And there's your two new fractions with a common denominator. Let's keep going. 4 and 10, I think that the lowest common denominator is 20. If you're not sure how I got that, go do the LCM and figure it out. Prove it to yourself. 10 times 2 is 20, so 3x times 2 is 6x. 4 times 5, so 3x times 5 is 15 of those x's. Let's do this last one together, 9 and 21. Let's see, so 9 is 3 squared, 21 is 3 times 7, LCM is 3 squared times 7, which is 9 times 7, which is 63. That's the LCD, lowest common denominator. 63, 9 times 7 is 63, so 7x times 7, which is 49x. And our last one is 21 times 3, so we have to multiply the 5 times 3 and get 15 for the numerator. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to actually start adding and subtracting fractions that have unlike denominators using the process that we just did in those first 4 examples. So if you look and you see this is an 8 and this is a 2, you go, I can't add those. They don't have the same denominator. But you may automatically know that the LCD of 2 and 8 is 8. So the 3 doesn't need anything done to him, but the 2, to get to 8, you have to multiply times 4. and the 1 you have to multiply by the same number, which gives you 4/8. Now listen carefully, because this is how I want you to write these addition and subtraction problems. Once you have a common denominator, I want you to write a single fraction bar, put the denominator down there, and all of the signs go with the numerator. So this minus sign goes with the 3. The plus sign goes with the 4. Now clean it up. A plus 3, minus 3, and a plus 4 is a positive 1. 1/8 is already simplified, and that's your answer. On number 6, I'm going to notice that I've got 2 signs here, a double sign. I'm going to immediately just rewrite it with a single sign. Minus a minus is a positive. Now I need to get a common denominator, which would be 12. This negative sign stays right here for right now. 4 times 3 is 12, so 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 4 is 12, so I have to multiply the 2 times 4 to keep my fractions equivalent. Single fraction bar, put the 12 down. Take the negative sign with the 3 and the plus sign with the 8. A negative 3 plus 8 is a positive 5. 5/12. I asked myself, are 5 and 12 relatively prime? Yes, they are. So I am simplified as I can be. All right, next couple. So I don't have a common denominator, but I might notice that 6 would be the common denominator. So 2 times 3 is 6. So A times 3 is what the numerator is. 6 is already 6. I don't have to multiply this A times anything. I can just write him down. Now I'm ready for a single fraction bar with 6 as a denominator. 3A, and it's positive. This negative sign goes with that A right there. If you have 3 A's and you take 1 away, you have 2 A's over 6. And one more step to simplifying it, you can think of 6 as 3 times 2. The 2's cancel, and your answer is A over 3. Let's just do this one with mixed numbers for grins. If you can do the work with mixed numbers, it's probably just as easy to leave it with mixed numbers. So we're just asked to add these, and we need to get the fractional part with the common denominator. So the common denominator between 7 and 6 is 42. 7 times 6 is 42, so 2 times 6 is 12. 6 times 7 is 42, so 1 times 7 is 7. Now we can add these guys together, and you end up with 12 as the mixed number piece. And then the fractional piece is 12 plus 7, which is 19 over 42. And you can leave your answer like that. We don't do a lot with mixed numbers. They may have some for you in the textbook, but that's why I threw this one in here. But generally speaking, in algebra, we don't do too much with mixed numbers. But you have a triangle, and I think the triangle looks something like this. 3 2/3. One more shot of mixed numbers here. And 5 7/12. So we need to add these guys together. I will do it vertically, and 12 is the common denominator. So this is 5 7/12 and 5 7/12. We're going to add them all together, and we have to get from 2/3 to 12ths. 3 times 4 is 12, so 2 times 4 is 8. Now we have all like denominators, and we can just go ahead and add this up. We get 5, 10, 13, and 8 and 7 is 15, and 7 more is, what, 22 over 12? But this is too big. 22/12 needs to be made into 14 and 10/12. But 10/12 is not simplified. So we say, well, 10 is 2 times 5, and 12 is 2 times 6, so the 2's cancel, and your answer ends up being 14 and 5/6, the simplified answer. All right, let's go back to some algebraic fractions. Again, 6 and 5 are not a common denominator. 30 is the lowest common denominator. I ask myself, how can I get from 6 to 30 times 5? 7x times 5 is 35x. And again, I'm just bringing this negative sign down right here. I'm going to deal with him later. 5 times 6 is 30, so x times 6 is 6x. Now I'm ready for a single fraction bar with the 30 as the denominator. These negative signs go with the numerator. So this is minus 35x minus 6x. 35 and 6 is 41, and we're getting more negative with these x's. And that's my answer. 41 is prime, and it's not a multiple of 30, so I don't have to look for any common factors. All right, number 11. Let's see. We need to find the lowest common denominator between 15 and 12. I might need to do the prime factorization. 3 times 5 is 15. 12 is 4, which is 2 squared times 3. Every base I see to the highest exponent, 2 squared times 3 times 5. 4 times 3 times 5, which is 12 times 5, which is 60. That's our lowest common denominator. So again, I'm making my shell. I ask myself, how can I get from 15 to 60? And that is times 4. So if I'm going to multiply this guy times 4, I have to multiply the numerator times 4, and I get 4m. 12 times 5 is 60, so I have to multiply the 2m times 5, which is 10m. Now I'm ready for the single. I'm going to have to move this guy. Woo. I'm ready for the single fraction bar, which is going to be 60 as a denominator. I'm taking all the signs with the numerators. So 4m is positive. The minus sign comes down right here. And now I'm ready to clean it up. This is not simplified yet. See if I can get a little more room. 4m minus 10m is a minus 6m over 60. Almost finished, but 6 and 60 have common factors, so I can think of this as minus 3 times 2 times m, and down here I can think of this as 3. Actually, we've got something higher that'll go out of this. 3 times 2 is 6, and 3 times 20. So the 3's will cancel, but I could have taken 6 out. 6 goes into 60 10 times. Silly me. So now I've got 2m, and I can think of 20 as 2 times 10, and the 2's cancel, and the final simplified answer is this guy right here. All right, I hope you're picking up on this, seeing a little bit. We're going to do a couple more, and then I'm going to leave some for you to do on your own. Okay, now I got to move this guy back somewhere. He's got to go somewhere. About over there. Over there. Okay, so 8 and 3, obviously those are not common denominators. I think most of you know that 24 is probably the LCM, so we'll just go directly there. 8 times 3 is 24, so x times 3 is 3x. 3 times 8, 5x times 8 gives you 40 of the x's. Single fraction bar common denominator is 24. 3x plus 40x. Those are like bases. They have like bases and exponents because this is x to the first and that's x to the first. So we have 43 of those x's over 24. And again, 43 is prime. 24 is not, and 43 is not a multiple of 24, so we're done. Okay, let's keep going. Goodbye, recording. Move you over here. Okay, so 9 and 15. You may or may not know what the LCM is, but if you did the prime factorization for 9, you'd get 3 squared And for 15, you get 3 times 5. You take each base to the highest power you see it. 9 times 5, which is 45. So you can always find the LCM, and then that gives you the LCD. You don't just have to know it off the top of your head. So 9 times 5 is 45, and this negative sign just comes right down, and the 2x times 5 is 10x. I'm going to worry about the negative sign a little bit later, not right this minute. 15 times 3 is 45. So 7x times 3 is 21x. And I just bring this plus sign right down and this negative sign right down. Single fraction bar. 45 is the denominator. The negative 10x and the plus 21x go in the numerator. So a negative 21x and a negative 10x and 21x gives you 11 positive x's over 45. And we're good to go. Okay, let me do one more, and then I'm going to have you guys finish them up, and we'll talk about them in class. Let's go to 16, and we'll work that one together, and then you're responsible for the rest of these. So 16 has got a double sign. Again, I'm going to just rewrite the problem with a single sign. And I'm looking for a common denominator between 8 and 12. You may know that it's 24, or you may have to go figure it out. But either way, the lowest common denominator is what we're looking for, and that's 24. 8 times 3 is 24, so 5x times 3 is 15x. I'm bringing the negative sign down, and I'm going to deal with him later. 12 doubled is 24, so I have to double the x and make him 2 x's. Single fraction bar, 24 is the denominator. The negative sign goes with the 15x. The positive sign in between goes with the 2x. A negative 15 and a positive 2 is a negative 13x over 24. And we're done. So I've left you 17, 18, and 19 to work, and the couple that we skipped on the previous page, which were 14 and 15. So you've got just several problems to work on your own, and you've got a bunch of examples to use as an example when you're doing your problems. Thanks for watching. See you soon.